Women filed a complaint with the Equal Opportunity Commission in 2016, so this is not a new issue. And I think that the women just finally reached a point that they said, you know what, we've had enough. We are your top property, and we deserve to be compensated and treated as such.
And they absolutely are, but I'm interested, I see the U.S. Soccer Federation's response, which basically is leaning on the collective bargaining agreement. We have an agreement, and we're fulfilling the terms of that agreement. What do you make of their response?
I'm not surprised, and I think it's probably, from their perspective, the smart thing to pin their defense on. But in the court of public appeal or the court of public opinion, I don't know that most Americans are going to look at that and say, oh, okay, well, yes, you're clearly in the right. When you look at what the women have done, especially when you compare it to the U.S. men's team, it's going to be really hard to make people believe that side or get caught up in legalese when all they see is we're not being treated fairly, we're not being paid adequately, when the women are front and center for the World Cup this summer.
Yeah, let's talk about especially the fair treatment aspect. We hear the aspect of equal pay, but the fair treatment, I think, is something that people don't always realize when it comes to playing the games, when it comes to actually performing in the way that they do.
Yeah, and it's something as simple as playing fields. We saw this with the Women's World Cup in 2015, that the women played on artificial turf, which they would never make the men do that. And granted, that's a FIFA decision, but the same thing has happened with the women's team in the U.S., that the U.S. men's team rarely plays on artificial turf, and the women have had to do that many times. You're talking about transportation, the flights that they use, whether they're charter flights or commercial airlines. And when you're talking about flying cross country or playing a game in a tournament and turning around and getting on a flight to go to another spot for a tournament, those decisions and those kind of transport issues, they make a difference.